All right, hello, welcome to our presentation for Management 673 with Dr. Ronald Rivas. Our company and our negotiation is for the HR policy negotiations for SNN Information Technology Services. SNN Technology Information Services Company, they provide IT services for banking and financial institutions located in the US and Southeast Asia. They were formed in upstate New York and later opened up a second location in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. In recent years, they've started to implement services to manage global supply chains and linking between companies. The company currently employs 500 people split evenly between their Kuala Lumpur and New York locations, and most employees at those locations are very similar in job description. The negotiation is relating to their HR policy, and as changing client needs is changing the nature of their business, they may need to move employees around, sending some from New York to Malaysia and some from Malaysia to New York. So before they did that, they wanted to create a common human resources policy to be negotiated, designed, and implemented. The negotiator should not come from either New York or Kuala Lumpur, but instead be a third-party individual that is not aiming to help one side more than the other, but instead should find the best option for both parties. The third-party negotiator doesn't carry any emotional baggage the two branches might have. And additionally, it can be difficult to remove ego from the equation, and expert negotiators do not have any stake in the conversation and therefore are less inclined to include their own ego during discussions. Choosing a third-party negotiator who is not employed by the corporation will reduce stress for both branches, and as an expert, they will be able to foster a spirit of cooperation and compromise that will push everyone to be less defensive. A professional third-party negotiator will also have strategies and tactics that a company or either branch do not have. Their training and technical experience in this field allows them to reach a resolution more creatively and successfully. Ideally, the gender of the negotiator should not need to be discussed, and the most experienced qualified candidate should receive the job. But in this specific situation, Malaysia has a largely Muslim population. And although Kuala Lumpur has made tremendous strides in boosting the representation of women in corporate leadership positions, there are still many cultural and religious beliefs that lead to women not being treated equally. This is a large issue that is difficult to separate from work and home. If a company pushes for women to work their way up the corporate ladder, but most of the people working for the business adhere to Muslim cultural beliefs, there will continue to be an unconscious bias about women that will permeate through the business. English is regarded as the business language of the world, but there are still translation issues that can arise. Although we advise a fully third-party negotiator, each branch should still choose a representative who has some experience in negotiations to serve as a translator. Alternatively, having a well-educated and experienced translator can help bridge the gap. This position also helps account for variations in body language or cultural norms that can be detrimental to a negotiation if not considered or disrespected. The negotiator should have background experience in business negotiations, most preferably in the realm of HR policy. Their education should include at a minimum a bachelor's degree, but preferably higher, specializing in human resources or business management. Since our negotiator will not be coming from our company, we will be implementing a negotiation liaison from each side that should come from either the legal division or human resources department. Coming from this functional area of the business will give them experience in contract, employment, and business law, which is vital to the negotiations. Lastly, the negotiation should be met with an integrative approach, or otherwise known as a collaborative value-creating approach. In this circumstance, the negotiation is occurring intra-company, meaning the executives are not wishing for either one side to lose. There are enough resources to spread in between each branch that maximizes value and joint outcomes. The dominant strategies include cooperation, sharing information, and mutual problem solving. This type is also called creating value, since the goal here is to have both sides leave the negotiation feeling that they had a greater value than before.
For the location, we bounced back a few ideas back and forth between New York City and Singapore, as those were two of the major economic hubs within easy distance of our two offices. But we eventually decided to split the difference and go with a neutral ground location of London. This has strong ties to both America and Malaysia, as it's the capital of the United Kingdom, and America and Malaysia both used to be part of the United Kingdom. The primary language that is spoken there is English, which is one of the two negotiating languages that we decided to go with. And more importantly, it serves as a strong middle ground between the two countries, so neither side has an unfair advantage with the home ground dealing with these negotiations. Furthermore, we decided to implement a 1 to 2 day delay between the arrival of the two negotiating parties and the start of the negotiations itself. This is in order to give both parties enough time to get their heads on straight, acclimate to time differences and jet lag, and also help them prepare their final arguments. We wanted to do this in order to give both countries and both offices equal footing when the negotiations start, so one side doesn't have an advantage over the other. To start with, salaries are a big thing, not only in America, but also in Malaysia. The average salary for Malaysians is about 29,500 US dollars a year. Therefore, we felt like it would be a very, very important thing to guarantee raises, not only for our American employees, but also for our Malaysian employees. As such, new employees at the end of their first probation year will receive a guaranteed 3% raise to their yearly salary. Veteran employees who have worked with the company for 1 to 4 years will receive a guaranteed 4% raise at the end of each year. And senior employees who have been with the company for 5 years or more will receive a guaranteed 5% raise at the end of each year. Added on to this, employees who have gone above and beyond or put in a lot of hard work in that specific year, or accomplished or worked on specific projects that really had to get done in short periods of time, will also receive raises beyond the guarantee or other benefits of their choosing. As for the terms of employment, one of the big things that we discovered is that both New York State and Malaysia are right to work states. And because of this, a lot of employees are nervous about the security of their jobs. They're worried that they may not have a job at the end of the year or what's going to happen to them. And this is especially concerning in Malaysia, where a lot of employees can be fired or hired on the same day, and it can adjust really rapidly on the fly. So, in order to give our new employees and our current employees the security that they desire, we're going to implement a few changes. The first of that is a first year probation period for new hires. This lets us take a look at how they do under pressure in the job, where they need to grow, where we can help them, where they're good, where they're bad. And it also helps us weed out the bad eggs in the basket, make certain that we're hiring the best that we can get and not someone who's only going to stick around for a few years and then leave unexpectedly. Tying into that, once their first year of probation is up, we're going to offer them an annual contract. This is offered every year at the end of the work year to every employee. And in it, it will list out a whole bunch of different things, insurance policies, their pay, their raise, what they're expected of in the job. And this is going to be reviewed between the employee and their manager on a quarterly basis. So every 3 months, they're going to sit down with the manager, go over it, and discuss what they like about their contract and what they want to change. And this also lets them decide 3 months in advance or so whether or not they want to stick with the company for another year and sign on another annual contract, or if they want to finish their employment with the company at the end of the year. This lets the employee have a lot of security in their job, as it's a guaranteed job for them. We can't fire them without breaking the contract. And it also lets us retain experienced workers and skilled staff that we want to keep on. And if they decide to leave, it also gives us a few months of time to find a replacement or try and convince them to stay. And finally, as a recognition for our employees' hard work, we want to implement a flexible policy of awards. A lot of employers just offer pay bonuses, and that's really great, and it would probably work pretty well for us. But we want to allow our employees and our staff to choose the benefits and awards that best suit their needs. Therefore, we're keeping the pay bonuses, but we're also offering more time off, paid vacations, flexible hours, and a couple other different benefits. Add into that, we want to try and foster a really strong relationship with our employees and really build the company's family. So we're going to host a couple different activities, try and get like maybe a company baseball team going together, a few other things. And we're also planning on hosting a few parties, the big one being an annual New Year's party to celebrate all the hard work that everyone put in. Beyond that, Nathan, do you got anything else you want to add?
No, I don't. Do you?
I'm good.
All right.
This has been Waley+Rupp.
And Nate Waley.
And this has been our final report.